Part 2 of the SOB podcast, Politics, will take you to where we left off in Part 1 right now.
You know,
Yeah, it wouldn't matter because it wouldn't make the fucking news.
well, that's true, man.
It wouldn't fucking matter because it won't make the fucking news no matter what.
Yeah. Did you, you and I talked about it, you see Barr in front of the Senate, Judicial Committee hearing?
Yeah.
You
I
know,
only watch clips. Like, you said you watch the whole thing, but I only watch clips. That guy's a fucking genius, by the way. Putting up with that shit, like, fuck, dude. I'd have just came out with it. I'd have been like, hey, check this out. You guys brought me here to ask me fucking questions. Why don't you ask the question, then shut the fuck up so I can answer instead of trying to soundbite me.
Right. He is epic, man. I love that guy. And the funniest one was when he started laughing, and I forget the senator's name, but it was a lady that was asking him questions, and he answered her in the negative and said, no, that's not what happened. This is what happened. And he thoughtfully answered the question. And then she said to him, well, I'm going to take that in the affirmative as a yes. And he goes, well, that's not what I said. And she goes, well, I'm asking the questions here. It's not your time. What did they say? I'm reclaiming my time. It's just basically shut up.
Right. I watched that. Yeah, I'm reclaiming my time.
Yeah, he literally started fucking laughing at her and like looks around the room and goes, that's not at all what I said, but if that's what you want to take away from it, whatever. And it was, you know, to see him navigate that and to watch him literally just laugh at these senators, was, well, and one, it's sad and it's you know, it's good to watch him in action. And two, it's scary for these people to literally just out of fear and hate for Trump, take what, you know, Attorney General Barr is saying and literally in his face state the complete opposite of what he said,
Right.
to try to get something on the record is crazy. And they talk about, you know, AG Barr being Trump's buddy and, oh, you're just doing the bidding of Trump. And he's like, no, like Trump has never gotten in the way of any of my investigations or given me direction to do anything. But everyone's up in arms about it. But if you look back at when Obama was the president,
Right.
you know, Attorney General Holder came out many times and I quote, like, oh yeah, I was with my boy Obama last week, or my buddy Obama, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, hold on. So you've got an AG that is literally calling the president his buddy, and that's okay. But when you have an impartial attorney general just doing his job, then he's in the president's, you know, good graces because the overarching evidence is actually in line with what the president has said all along. So when the facts show that it doesn't fit the left narrative, then it's all bad and you guys are friends. But when Holder and Obama are together and they overtly say that they're buddies, which would lend you to believe that Holder is being heavily influenced by President Obama, that's okay, right? And it's all because there's a double standard from one to the other.
So, well, it's the shifting goalpost.
Yep.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, you know, you had Holder coming out and saying under direct supervision of the, you know, the White House or, you know what I mean? Like, you know, you had him saying that shit all the time. And then imagine if Barr was to say that.
Oh my God.
Oh my God is right. Like, it's so weird how all this cannot be looked objectively, as in, like, let's put the shoe on the other foot and see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Right. But again, that'll never come out. The media would never cover it.
I'll tell you something I seen today is, again, AG Barr, since we're talking about him, right, is they just made George Soros an international terrorist organization, and his what's the name of his, like, I don't know. I don't remember the name of his fucking shit. Like something first. Fuck, man, I forget. But anyway, Barr came out today, and George Soros and his front companies can be charged as international terrorists.
Really? I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, came out today, man. And I forget the name of his fucking shit, like Generation First or whatever it is. But, look, they made Black Lives Antifa a terrorist organization, right? Which they're taking these guys down every fucking day. Every day, these fuckheads who live in their parents' basement, right, are about to go down. You know what I mean? Like, and they're getting prison sentences, and if the news doesn't show this, right? But they're getting prison sentences where they're like, we just got 10 years for whatever, right? And it's like, what the fuck did you think was gonna happen? You're fucking with federal property. You're fucking with the police, the fucking feds. You think you weren't gonna get serious fucking time out of it?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's because you never left your grandparents' basement, and you're trying to act out in your fucking teenage years and as an adult, and then when they slap you in the face with it, right? But now, AG Barr came out today and said George Soros him and his organizations are international terror organizations, which is also going after the money. The problem is like, look, and I think this, and we've kind of already talked about this, but I think the more people that put money in the social justice, the more you're perpetuating racism. Because Black Lives Matter isn't spending fucking money to get the fucking poor kid in the fucking ghetto food.
Right.
They're not trying to help the parents. They're not trying to give out scholarship. Right? No. Like they aren't helping anybody except themselves. They got a fleet of fucking buses so they can transport protesters from state to state. Right? Most of those protesters aren't even black, by the way. I don't even understand that, but whatever. So they haven't helped anybody. The more they put these guys as fucking international terrorists or whatever type of terrorism, the more they attack the funding, the more there's less funding, the less problems we're going to have. I'm more for, look, and I think this is every fucking person, that we know is like, I don't want any reason. I want everyone to be treated equally on their merit, right? But don't tell me some fucking crackhead who's a fucking 10-time, 7-time felon is the fucking savior of everybody. Don't fucking tell me that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
totally.
I'm not fucking going there, right? But, in my opinion, being a lifetime Army guy, I haven't seen racism. We all work together. Like, fuck, man. Like, it doesn't fucking matter. You're on your merit. You come on my team, right? You're the fucking mechanic. You gotta fix the vehicles. Fix the fucking vehicle.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, man, my mechanic had to be the driver of my truck, and then we fucking hit an IED. The next day, it's like, wow, this truck works? He's like, yeah, I fixed it last night. Like, well, when did you sleep? Well, I didn't. Well, fuck, we gotta go. Like, I'm gonna make sure you sleep tomorrow. But the truth is like, look, everyone was treated equally on your fucking merit. I don't know why this is so hard to believe that the average American wants.
Yeah, and I don't think it is. The challenge is that, in my opinion, right, is that you've got this vocal minority, and because of the way the media is set up, is that the narrative is outweighing I think what has historically has been the quiet majority. And I think the quiet majority is waking up and getting sick and tired of it, which is fantastic. And I hope that the quiet majority will actually come out and really actively work against this vocal minority. And, it's got to happen. And if it doesn't happen, then we're in trouble. Because you're right. The Black Lives Matter movement, at a high level, look, every life matters. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what you believe, as long as
so true. So
as long
true.
as you're a good fucking person and you're doing the right shit, then, man, I've got your back 100%. And you're right. In the service, man, no one gave a shit. It was all performance-based.
Right.
And if you think things aren't performance-based and things shouldn't be, then why are you supporting pro sports, right? If you just look at performance-based people in the world, right? You've got the military, which is, look, no one gives a shit. It's, can you meet the requirements and how well do you do your job? Period. That's what matters. In my world, like in the tech sector, you've got companies that are like, look, we've got to hire because of, you've got all these standards and requirements to hire people that are of color or more female than male because you've got to be aligned with, the population and the, the perspective of, well, you don't have enough of this group of people in your company. So you've got to hire those kinds of people. Well, dude, look at the NFL and and the NBA. Like, do they hire based upon, other things other than performance? Fuck no. Does that make them racist because the NFL and the NBA is predominantly African American athletes? No. Fucking they are the best people for the fucking job, and so they get the job and they get the money. Like, that doesn't make them innately racist or systemically racist. It means they're hiring the best people for a job, and if you look at it in aggregate, the best people for those jobs obviously are of a certain kind of ethnicity, right?
Right,
but
right.
Calling them systemically racist for that, are we? Fuck no. It's performance-based.
Yeah, I agree. Well, look, a few years ago, right, I read a study, and the study was, why isn't there more Fortune 500 company CEOs that are female?
Right.
Gotta hire more females. We need more of these CEOs. But, what the study found is, like, females are more likely to want to have a family than do the fucking 18-hour-a-day grind for the next 25 years to get to that fucking position. And if any person wants to have some quality of life, you're never going to get there. So the truth is it's not that you need more females, it's you need more people that want to fucking do that in general.
Right.
No matter your gender, no matter your race or color, right? You have to want to be that person, right? And take the sacrifices that go along with being that person more so than any other factors. And if you want any quality of life, and this includes males, this includes anyone of any race, if you want some quality of life, you're never going to kind of be that person. You know what I mean? You're never going to be a family guy and take family vacation and spend as much time at home with your kids as you want and be a Fortune 500 company CEO.
That's right. That's 100% right. And it's also, if you take the whole wage gap conversation, male versus female, look, the vast majority, there's this whole narrative, right, that women make 80 cents on the dollar or 70 cents on the dollar compared to the men. Well, in average, if you look at every working female versus every working male, that one little snapshot would show you that that's likely true. Where it breaks down completely is exactly what you're saying, which is, look, women are far more likely to want to work less hours. Just to make an overgeneralization, they're far more apt to want to, take care of the families, be more nurturing. They're also far less likely to do high-risk jobs, which generally pay more money than low-risk jobs. Like, you look at Canada, the vast majority of Canada's wage gap is tied to the fact that the high-paying jobs for the blue collar, which is the majority of Canada's middle class, is oil workers, right? Roughnecks. So
yeah.
If the average guy in Canada makes X, well, and they make a good income, it's because they're doing the high risk jobs that are heavy lifting, physically demanding, and women predominantly aren't doing those kinds of jobs. So of course there's a pay gap. But if you look at an engineer, female versus an engineer male, then they are making within spitting distance of each other based upon their experience and their education and their performance. Well, okay, like it comes into statistics where I can tailor any statistic you want to fit my narrative. But if you take a step back and look at it objectively, then it doesn't support the narrative, right?
Right.
And
look, you know how people love to quote, like, in Sweden, where they don't recognize gender or any of that, like everyone always tells you, the predominant engineers are males, predominant medical workers are female. So in a system that doesn't promote any of that, how the fuck did that pan out?
Right. And the reality is, why would you want to artificially structure it? Why wouldn't you just let it be organic, where people can go into any field they want as long as they can meet the requirements and perform? So if that means that a certain group of people go into one field and another group of people go into another field, why do you need to artificially adjust the process and that field to fit a narrative, as opposed to, look, we just hire the best people for the job, and it just so happens that it has become one demographic versus the other. It's scary. It is. And it's going to create problems in society. And Sweden, you're right with Sweden, in that they've gone that way, and they tried the other way. Sweden tried to make it, government was augmenting business by giving tax cuts for people in order to hire other groups of people. And they realized it was unfair to the businesses, and it was forcing people to go into fields that they didn't want to go into. Much like, people have quoted Sweden to be this socialist, country, when they have gone heavily against socialism, right? They've got some social programs, but nowhere near how people quote them, and nowhere near how people try to tie them to, like, the Bernie Sanders movement. It's just not reality. It's just not. They tried it and it failed, but luckily they pivoted pretty quickly. And even like Sweden as an example, they have a national-based retirement program, much like Social Security, right? And we all know that Social Security in the U.S. has just been a dog's breakfast, right? It's kind of a shit show. Well, the same thing happened in Sweden. So you know what Sweden did? They took what is their version of Social Security, and they turned it over to the public sector. And so literally the country's Social Security program is managed by a public entity, right? Not a government entity, or a private entity, excuse me. And it's all let the experts manage it, remove the bureaucracy that totally cuts a huge amount of money out of everything because it costs money to run things through the government, and give people back the money that they are owed. And, Sweden has done some things really well. Now, Sweden's got their own problems, just like any other country. But you're right. People love to quote Sweden without actually knowing what's going on in the country.
Right. But, why is Sweden finding that certain demographics, male, female, white, Indian, whatever, Asian, whatever, why are they finding that in a system where we created a fair world for everyone, why are certain people drawn to certain jobs?
Right.
You know what I mean? Women aren't generally drawn to be engineers.
Right.
And I think the more the media rams this down people's throats, the more harm they're doing, because and then they interviewed a lot of women who had the potential to be CEOs and didn't. And most of them were like, I I just wanted to have a family. I got to a point where I was earning enough money. I just wanted to be happy.
Right.
Like, I got to a level and then that was it. That's all I wanted, So what the study found was most people found a place where they were happy and wanted to stay there. Fucking amazing, right? And then here the media comes stirring the shit pot. Well, you should be the CEO. Well, I didn't want to be the CEO.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
but we don't care what you want. We care that we can structure this narrative in a way that fits what we want the country to hear.
Correct.
Yeah. It's
I'll tell you, the world is a strange fucking place, and I don't think it's going to get better before this election. And if Trump wins, I don't think it's going to get better after.
No, it's not. And that's what's sad. It's, there, and it's back to the whole people just hate Trump. And so they're not going to vote for policy. They're going to vote to get rid of, the people that don't like Trump are going to vote against him just because of who he is and because of what the media is telling them. And, that's really sad. The whole UAE, Israel agreement, right? Peace agreement, man, that is a fantastic milestone and should be celebrated widely. And it's not getting the attention that it should. And that's because it doesn't fit the narrative. And yet you've got Biden, like you said, trying to take credit for it. No, he worked on it for years. And you're just like, dude, if you'd have worked on it for years with the 5 decades you spent in government and then at the White House, the 8 years at the White House, you couldn't get it done. And in 3 years, Trump got it done. Like, okay, well, does that just go to show you that your performance isn't what you say it is? And that we shouldn't believe in you as a leader because you couldn't get it done in the 5 decades and 8 years at the White House? Like, I'm just being real, right? Like if I left my job today and my successor did something I couldn't get done and then try to take credit for it, everybody would laugh me out of the room. Right?
Right.
But
totally.
Not in politics.
No, in politics, you're legit, and he means it, and he's sincere, even though later we're not going to judge him on it.
Right.
It's just like, look, Congress has like a 13% approval rating. Me as a human being, as a small business, if my approval rating was 13%, I'd be A, a fucking liar, right? Or B, I'd be out of fucking business.
Right.
How long can you tell people only 13% of what fucking is going on and they're going to put up with it? Only in politics. It's bizarre to me how, and what's bizarre is like, do you honestly think the political ruling class, whether it's Democrats or fucking Republicans, is so much fucking different?
No, they're not.
No, fuck no. Like, it's the ruling class. Like, fuck you. Shut up, peasants. Do what we fucking say. And that's, seriously, right? But the government was meant to be for the people, by the people.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But, okay, if the government's for the people, by the people, every time there's a debate or something going on or elections, and it's like, well, this guy doesn't have the experience. You know what I mean? It's like, for the people, by the people, motherfucker. No one needs it. Right?
Well, and 100%. And back to the whole performance conversation. Like, when Congress decides that, they can't agree on shit, so they just shut the government down and go home. Like, right or left leaning. You're like, hold on. If I went to my boss and said, hey, man, I've got disagreements with other executives in this company and we can't come to an agreement, so we're just not going to do a fucking thing. I'm like, dude, I would get fired, and rightfully so, because my job is to get shit done and to find the way to get it done and negotiate with people that I may not fully agree with. But only in politics can we say, nah, we can't get anything done, so we're literally not going to do a fucking thing. Like, huh? Like,
yeah, we're not doing anything. We're going to take summer vacation come back and make that decision. Even though we could be hemorrhaging millions of dollars, we could be, like whatever, right? Doesn't matter. We'll come back after the break.
Right. And then things will be different. No, they won't. They won't be fucking different. And meanwhile, the government's going to pay for it, right? We're going to, like you said, hemorrhage millions of dollars. Government programs are going to get shut down that, like, government's employees, people that rely on it. What was it, a few years ago, like literally some of the federal employees got sent home and then didn't get paid for a little while. And you're like, okay, well, and now people want to vote for bigger government and bigger bureaucracy and bigger government programs. Well, we've already proven that we can't manage it effectively as it sits today, and yet you want to grow these things?
Yeah. Oh, how about the, well, if I get elected, we're raising taxes. Like, what?
Right.
What?
Right.
How the fuck you say shit like that and get elected in general? I don't get it.
No, it doesn't make any sense. And like I said earlier, you can't out earn bad spending in your house, in
Never
your job,
once, dude.
in government, right? Like, if my government program spend outweighs how much money I create through taxes, then I'm always going to spend more than I earn because I'm not learning my lesson. It's the same thing I tell my 10-year-old, right? When she gets allowance and I say, okay, like, no, you can't have that because it's $10 and your allowance is $5. So how do you think you're going to manage that? Right? Well, I guess you better save up your allowance for next week too, but we're not teaching our society that. We're just teaching that the government will give you more, and the way we'll pay for it is by taxing people in order to do it. And it's just asinine, and it doesn't make any sense at all.
Okay. Let me ask you this, right? How much tax money does the U.S. government take in a year?
Oh man, I don't even remember. It's a fraction of what we spend.
Yeah, that's my point, right? Like, I don't remember, it's like, well, we got a $3 trillion green tax bill coming up. Like, well, how much do we take in?
Right.
Because it sounds great until you realize, like, at what point are we going to stop printing money to cover your bad decision?
Mm-hmm.
At what point is our money, look, the world used to be the sterling, the pound, and we took over the world currency. I mean, there's countries have to sit on billions of dollars of ours just to be able to trade with other countries because we're the world currency. At what point do we blow that? And then guess what? Our economy tanked just like fucking Britain did in the 70s or 60s, just like it was $30 for a gallon of milk in England for a while.
Right.
Like, at what point are we going to stop? Look, fiat currency is what we use. The only thing that protects our money is it says it's punishable by the government to print your own. It's just fucking paper. Fiat money through the history of the world has always failed. At what point are we going to quit playing the fucking raise tax money and keep spending more fucking money? At what point are we going to do that till it fucking fails? And then what? Every serious republic in the history of the planet, right, has failed from within.
Mm-hmm.
China and Russia, no, they got nothing to worry about. They've already failed from within and built back from it. We haven't failed from within since the Civil War. And I'll tell you this, 250 years since the Civil War in current today's time is a long fucking time.
Yeah. Well, especially when you consider the age of our country, just in general, right?
Yeah.
It's around the corner. And, the reality is, the other thing that would help us is exactly what Trump is doing, which is managing the trade agreements and tariffs, is getting us reliant on ourselves. The whole, even if you take a step back on COVID and you don't think it's, whatever, this crazy thing, and you go, okay, well, it came out of China, It shut our economy down. And then we had to buy masks and PPE from China in order to manage the virus that came from them, right? So that alone is crazy. You know, if you look at hydrochloroquine, and that was touted as, early on it was touted as a pretty good solution to early onset of COVID. Well, the vast majority of hydrochloroquine is manufactured in India. And so, India came out and said that they were no longer going to export hydrochloroquine because they wanted to hold on to it for their citizens. Okay, well, how can we help our economy and how can we help manage the dollar? We can do it by bringing manufacturing back to America, getting jobs in the U.S., getting money directly in the hands of our people, and then we don't have to rely on the world in order to support our people. And the reason why we've let it go to these countries is because of the tariffs, because of the quote unquote, low-cost labor and manufacturing process. But the more we can become reliant on ourselves, the stronger our country will be, and the better off every citizen in America will be. And it doesn't happen overnight, but it's the right thing to do by our citizens.
Right. But that won't fly with the global elite.
Absolutely. And that's why
because the more money that goes into our citizens' hands, the less money that's in there.
Right. Yep. Well, and that's what's great about Trump is he doesn't give a shit. You know, he stands up in front of those people and says, "This is what we're going to do," and it puts everybody up in arms, and he's just unapologetic about it, right? It's and if you elect a guy like Biden, he'll go on another Obama apology tour and then start sending all these jobs and all this money to all these other countries, and our people will get taxed. Jobs will go away, the dollar will fall through the floor, and we'll be in a far worse position than we ever were. But, the media will spin it to be this really global, positive thing. And it's not good. It's not good. I think that the narrative around, putting America first means that we are against the world is asinine. It's like anything else. If I'm healthy and happy and have a secure home, then I'm in a far better position to help my neighbors than I would be.
Totally. Yeah, totally.
And that's how it breaks down. But people don't want to look at it like that. It's like anything else. What can I control? And, if people want to make global economics really complicated, but if you make it simple and say it's no different than managing your house. If you are strong financially, if you are healthy, if I'm healthy and strong, I can go help my neighbor move a stack of wood. I can help him remodel their kitchen. I can help my kids and my grandkids. And if I'm weak in all those areas, I can't help anybody else. Just like as a nation, if we are strong and healthy, we are in a far better position to help our allies do the things they need to do. But the longer we create a society that is weak, which is what the left would do, is our society would become more weak, the less positioned we are to help our allies in the world. And
well, the weaker you are, the more power they have.
Right. 100%.
The more you need them.
Yep. That's right. And even when, what's her name from Germany, right? She was, coming out against the U.S. and saying all kinds of shit. And Trump was like, well, fuck it. Like, I'll shut Germany down. We'll remove our bases. And they were like, oh, fuck, don't do that. Right?
Yeah. Whoa.
Right.
We don't got to go nuclear.
Yeah. We need you. Well, then, play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Right.
We've got to put America first. And that doesn't mean that you hate other countries. It just means you're focused on your house, which is what we should be.
Yeah, I completely agree. Okay. So look, This is kind of early, but what's your election predictions for November?
Oh man.
Hold on. First question is, do you think we're going to do the mail-in ballot?
Hmm. No. I think we will do, because obviously the states control what they do within their state, because every state has different laws. I think some states will, but I think predominantly most states will not.
All right. What do you think? What do you think of Biden and Kamala or Kamala or whatever the fuck they're arguing over her name? I don't give a fuck. But what do you think about those guys as a team and how they're going to do?
I think they are a horrific team. I think that Biden, if I were on the left, I would say that I think Kamala Harris is a horrible pick because she adds nothing to the table. She's far left. She brings California with her, which Biden already has. And so I don't see what benefit she brings to his campaign. So I think it was a huge miss. And I think that, the only way they become really viable is if they are able to avoid the debate process.
All right. What do you think about Trump?
As it relates to his electability?
Yeah. As the election, yeah. Same question instead of Biden and Kamala, just Trump.
I think that he has a really strong ability to get reelected. I think that if he continues to do the really positive things that he's been doing, like this really great agreement between the UAE and Israel, and still stay fast with the rule of law, which I believe he will be, I think that he has a strong ability to get reelected. I'd also say that if you look at the polling, which supports Biden right now, that it's no different than the 2016 election where Trump was so very underappreciated in the polls. I think this is exactly in line with that, and we'll see far more people come out in support of Trump than what people anticipate.
Man, the 2016 polls, I voted for Trump, right? Because I wanted to vote for Trump. And also I thought, if there was ever somebody that needs my help, it's this fucking guy. Even though, I think he's a New York City asshole, right? Mm-hmm. I do. I think he's one of them super rich guys in New York City that his whole life didn't give a fuck about anyone but himself.
Yeah, that's right.
But I think he's a smart guy where he's like, I no longer represent just myself. I represent millions of people, and I need to do what's right by them, right? So I figured he needed my help, and when he won, I was in shock. Everything you heard about Hillary and, all the polls, you know what I mean? It was 99-1 with Trump, and, fucking crushed it in a matter of hours. And I remember watching, me and my wife watched, I was in Florida. We were in a hotel in Florida because I had to work down there. And it was okay, he won whatever state, but, he needs to win this state next.
Right.
And then, that he won that state. Well, he won that state, but he still got to win this state, this state, this state. Next state falls. Well, but that doesn't matter because he still got to win this state. And then that state falls. And they're like, but that doesn't matter. Because wait, there's one more, right? It was some bad infomercial. And those states keep falling. I think this is what's going to happen this time. I think there's a left and a right, and there's a far left and far right. I think the Democratic Party, I think the majority of America, the majority of the people who vote are somewhere in the middle. And I think the Democratic Party has shifted so far to the left that they left the bulk of their people somewhere in the middle. How do I know this? Is because I know people that have voted Democrat their whole life that just bought a new gun and asked me what they need to do.
Right. So let me ask you just the same question then. What do you think of the Biden-Harris ticket?
Oh, I think Kamala Harris is to get the black and female vote, right? But I think what they don't realize is Trump has actually done more stuff for the black vote than the Democrats ever have.
Totally.
You know what I mean? So, and she was brought on for the black vote, but the truth is she's not black. She's an Indian. She's from India.
Well, and the reality is, as it relates to the black vote, is if you look at the 2016 election, 90% of the votes, 90% of the African American vote already went to the Democrats.
Right.
So they already won that vote.
Right. I think Kamala Harris was appeasing the masses.
Yep.
But the masses they appeased with her were already the people that they had. I think had they brought in that, and I didn't like her at all, that Gabby chick.
Yeah, Gabby Tulsi, yeah.
I think they would have brought into a whole new realm of people. But then again, hold on. Let me caveat this by saying Candace Owens runs for government. I'm voting for her.
Right. Yep.
So it's not really about your color, your race, your gender, your what the fuck ever. It's about most people are voting, you fucking smart, and can you do the job or not? And I think the Democrats in 16 tripled down with Hillary. And I think they just tripled down with Camilla. And I don't think it's going to help them at all. And as a matter of fact, I think if Trump won by as much as he did last time, last time they were like, well, we got the popular vote, but the electoral college went to Trump. So, we're the popular vote. I don't think they're going to get the popular vote. Matter of fact, I don't think it's going to be close. I think if the popular vote was 51% Hillary, 49% Trump, which is, I think that's pretty accurate.
Yep.
I think it's going to be 60 to 70% Trump this time.
Man, I hope so.
Well, I hope so too. But, judging by 2016 and how wrong everyone was then, look, the news saying Trump's behind in the polls is just fucking white noise. You said that last time, but yet that motherfucker's been in there 4 years slugging it out.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I thought beating Hillary was a way higher hill for him than fucking, Sleepy Joe.
Oh, man. I mean, beating Joe should be low-hanging fruit, right? I mean, the guy can't tie two coherent sentences together. And, I hope that Trump beats the drum of the sexual predator that Kamala Harris cited over and over again, because I think people need to realize that. And
dude, look, if I was Trump, everything that came out of my mouth would be a soundbite from Obama.
Totally.
And this is what I hate about Trump is he says his own shit, and I get it. And look, that motherfucker trolls motherfuckers, and I love that at times. At times, I'm like, just shut your fucking mouth. You know what I mean? Like, you don't gotta say shit about this. Okay, you didn't shut up. Right? So, but I get it. That's him, and I accept him for him. Right? I totally get that. But if I was him, every fucking thing that come out of my mouth would be like, oh, so what do you think about this? You know what I mean? I'd say that. They'd be bashing me, and I'd be like, but wait, I just quoted Obama from this year. He said the same thing.
Right.
I'm just saying the same thing. I agree with him on that.
Right.
You know what I mean? I would be quoting Bill Clinton, the fucking grandfather of the fucking cause or cure or whatever the fucking people think they call that. I don't know what it's called, right? But I would just be re-quoting their own shit back at them all. The only thing that would come out of my mouth.
Dude.
And then I would make sure on the backside my team was fucking bombarding, side-by-side quotes. President Trump, play now. Like, I would do this. President Obama, I would do this.
Yep.
I would be. Yep. That's all I would do is I would bombard them with their own quotes and fucking bullshit. You know, you can't do that with Biden because he says such fucking crazy shit. Like, you couldn't nail him down on anything because, except for the fact that he's got fucking hairy legs and kids sit on his lap. Right? But like, I would only put out sound bites. And then I also think this is another thing about the election is I believe Facebook is more conservative right now than it ever has been in the past. And I'm going to tell you why. If you watch, the Democrats have been going after fucking Zuckerberg, right? Like him or not. I don't fucking like the guy, right? But, you know, like him or not, right? The Democrats have been bombarding Zuckerberg because they know if he even posts 10% conservative shit, they don't got a fucking chance.
Right.
And they've been fucking bombarding him. And I don't know if you've noticed it lately, but he has been siding more towards Trump than towards the Democratic Party because all they do is give him shit. So I think you're going to see more conservative shit on Facebook now than ever before in the past.
That's interesting. I haven't seen that evolution, but I will definitely look at it.
Dude, look at his questioning when he was just on the Hill. Look at, like, dude, they've been all over him. And there's even been people, like, you know, running the bigger political websites and stuff that say, you know, Zuckerberg has been treated better by the conservatives than he has the Democrats, who he has traditionally fucking supported 100%.
Right. Yeah.
So, but think about this. If the Democrats didn't have social media, you think they'd win?
No.
Fuck no. It wouldn't even be close. They need 90% of all the social media all the time to still lose to Trump. This is why it's the fucking, you know, it's the loud minority. The Democrats are the loud minority, and the regular American, and I would say there's the loud minority, which is the Democrats. I mean, think about this. Like, I say this all the time, but how many people around the country are protesting Antifa or Black Lives Matter? How many are out looting, you know, peaceful protesting, so they call it these days? How many people in America are doing that right now?
Yeah. I mean,
dude, I'm going to tell you, it's not 1 million fucking people nationwide.
No.
There's 360 million-ish people in the country. Let's just say the looters, rioters, peaceful protest, quote unquote, are 1 million of that.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll give them 1 million strong. Okay. What do you think the other 359 million fucking Americans are thinking right now?
Yeah, they're fucking pissed.
Right? And then, but let's look at this from a voter standpoint. Okay. There's only about 120 million voters out of 360 million people in America at any one given time. Okay, again, how many peaceful protesters, I'm doing air quotes, looters, rioters, go with that. Right? Oh, that's still 1 million. Okay, that's 119 million people that are tired of the fucking bullshit. You know, just like the fucking Russian hoax, just like, you know, the Democrats will push this so long that everyone is just fucking tired of it.
Right.
So their COVID's going to go on for control over these fucking votes and mail-in ballots and shit, which is going to make people tired. Like, so what I'm telling you is the middle has shifted, and the middle, instead of being half Republican, half Democrat, the middle shifted more to the right, being more Republican than fucking half and half. This is horrible. You know, look, I say this all the time is, look, you know, I'm road tripping all the time. I go to all these little towns where the ranges are. You know, look, I'm in fucking 20-something, 30 states a fucking year. Middle America is dying a horrible death. No one gives a fuck. But in every one of those little towns, there's people that fucking matter.
Right.
None of those people aren't getting fucking media time. No one's saying shit about those fucking people.
Yeah, so their only voice is their vote.
Their only voice is their vote, man. And I think now more than ever, right, this reality show we call the U.S. government, which nothing's real on reality TV, by the way, right? People are just getting tired of it. And they've shifted the goalpost enough where they're standing in the corner by themselves. And everyone's like, why the fuck are you guys way over there? What the fuck is going on? And right. I think this is why Trump's going to win again.
You know what's going to be interesting, and the left already does this, is they eat their own, you know?
Always.
And, you know, it's funny to see, it's like, you know, even the left, where you go, look, I'm left, and then someone like Bernie or AOC is like, well, you're not fucking far enough left. And so they, you know, now they've made these leaps and bounds to go further left. And I think that in the event that Trump gets reelected, which I hope he does, and I think you're right, is that the left just implode, and that they realize that taking such an extreme stance on all these different issues is alienating the vast majority of the country, and they'll learn, right? My hope is, look, I hate the two-party system. It's what we've got today. But
Obama killed the grassroots with IRS weaponization, right? When he weaponized the IRS against all the grassroots shit, he killed them, which ensured his own election. However, this is what it led to. Good job.
Right, exactly. And, you know, if they can, if the left implodes and eats themselves alive, my hope is that people learn, and we get to a place where, you know, we can get some grassroots movements and really start to expand, you know, the two-party system into something bigger, which, you know, the elites will never let that happen. But, you know, in my pie in the sky hope for the country is that we can get there and start to introduce some things that, you know, make a ton of sense. And I would argue that Trump is, you know, he's got policies that are right leaning, and he's also doing some things that are pretty center. And yet no one wants to appreciate that in the media.
Dude, are you kidding me? Look, go back and watch some of the past presidential speeches. What I would tell you is Bill Clinton was farther to the right than Trump ever has been.
100%. Dude,
ever.
Even Obama in his first election was probably lockstep with the vast majority of the things that Trump is doing, which is
correct.
Like you said, and for Trump to use your strategy, if Trump were to quote Obama and not tell people up front that he was quoting Obama, dude, no one would realize that what Trump is saying came from Obama, and it wouldn't be in any material departure from the things that Trump is trying to accomplish. Like
zero. Same with Bill Clinton.
And, you know, I mean, Obama moved further left, especially in his second term. But if you look at his first term and you look at Clinton, to your point, dude, you know, they were, you know, way more right. So it's wild, man. It's wild. But I can't wait to see the left eat themselves alive. I really
can't. I'll tell you what I want for the left. I don't give a fuck if they eat themselves alive or not. I don't care if the Republicans eat themselves alive or not. Here's what I want to do. Wait till Antifa, as in an organization that you nurtured, you grew up, you raised from a baby, turns to be a fucking teenager that rebels against you. Right? It's going to happen, dude. Don't tell me it's not. Wait till all these fucking protests go against you because they no longer believe in you because you did something on shifting this fucking goalpost that ended up fucking leaving them holding the bag.
Right.
That's what I want to see, and that's the problem with the Antifa movement is, you know, eventually they're not going to be on your side anymore. What do you do?
Right. Yeah.
This is when you'll truly see the FBI get weaponized to go after these fuckers instead of like, well, you fucking raised them, you fed them, you fucking fixed them.
Right. That's your baby.
I can't wait for that. I can't wait for the all the protesters fucking turn. And then, like, what's your expectation of this? You're turning all our fucking cities to shit. Ain't no one gonna want to live there.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then, so I'm hoping there's a silver lining out of this, right? And when I say a silver lining, schools. Well, you're doing all schools online. This means some liberal fuckhead doesn't have my kid's mind for 8 hours out of the day. Guess what? My kids are going to be conservative like me instead of you ruining their fucking mind at college, right? So I think that's a silver lining out of the coronavirus, which was manufactured politically, right? I also think that the cities are going to die a horrible death like we seen them in the late 70s or 80s, right? Where, just don't fucking drive there. You'll just get shot, right? When I was a kid, you didn't go in. I lived on the edges of the city, on the south side of the city. It's like, don't go anywhere north of here deeper into the city. You're just going to get fucking shot. Don't roll down your windows. Don't unlock your doors. And don't fucking stop under any circumstances, right? Is this where the cities are going again? Like, Detroit's got to die another horrible death? So does Chicago? Like, how many times are we going to see this, right? But the truth is what it's going to do is it's going to give them less power. It's going to give them less voting power. Because right now, all the major cities in these states are, the city is the city-state and controls all the rules for the rest of the state. What you're going to see is that's going to go away. They're no longer going to have that power because the city's going to be a fucking shit show. Oh, by the way, how much tax are they going to take?
Right. Yep.
Right? And I'm all for, imagine when the federal government is like, fuck you, we're not giving you no more money.
Right.
You just fucking piss it away. Guess what happens then? So those are the couple silver lining things I see happening. The good news is like, if you live in Illinois, it's already happening, but the city is losing power every day because of these reasons, which means they have less voting power in the states, which in the regular part of the state, the other 99% of these states, you'll have more of the ability to own guns, have a concealed permit, own suppressors, because that city is so weak because of crime and fucking murders and because we defunded the police. You know what I mean? All the rich people moved out. Guess what you're left with? You'll have no power. The rest of the state will have their way to have own guns and protect themselves. And you know what I mean? And I'll tell you this is like Illinois, for example. Illinois is much more like North Carolina everywhere in Illinois except for Chicago, Cook County, than anywhere else.
Right.
Why can't they have the same fucking shit? It's a rural area. They grow corn. We grow corn. The difference is we can own guns or anything you want, so no one's fucking around in our little towns because you'll get fucking murdered because everyone carries a gun.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
So I think there's some silver linings to this, and I think, look, you got to read the Saul Alinsky shit to understand where the Democrats are coming from, but it's all just socialism, Marxism, right? The problem is yes, you will have a job under socialist regime, and when they run out of money because they fucking spend it all because they're all fucking rich and you're poor, you're going to go to work any fucking way. You're going to have health care, but they don't give a fuck how good it is. You're going to have these things, but guess what? There's nothing you can do about any of it, right? You're going to go to work even though you don't get fucking paid. You're going to fucking go to the hospital even though you may not get paid.
Right. 100%.
And eventually with socialism, you run out of other people's money.
Yeah, because the people no longer have money to give you because you're not paying them.
Correct.
I mean, look, people aren't crazy to say and show that socialism doesn't work and Marxism doesn't work. But when you got these guys like Bernie Sanders, like, well, it just wasn't done right. Like, no, it doesn't fucking work. Just read a history book. You don't have to be an academic genius to figure out that these programs don't work over time. And look, the U.S. government, the country, has been around for a few hundred years, and we have turned into the greatest country on earth with a bunch of problems. But we are arguably, in my opinion, the greatest country in society that's ever lived. Now, we've got our problems, we've got to fix them. But all that was based on a free market and giving every citizen the opportunity to be the best they can and create as best you can a level playing field. Now, where you shift all of that free market and free will away from the people and give it to the government, then the worse off everybody is. And the perfect example of that is, look at the Postal Service, right? Compared to UPS or FedEx. Now, the USPS had a monopoly on the postal market forever. And a new company came in, like UPS and FedEx, and completely derailed that, and now they own that market. Well, how can you not say or attribute the lessons learned by USPS versus companies like FedEx and USPS or UPS to what would happen in any other market in the country, right? It just goes to show you the government sucks at running programs, period. And anytime you introduce bureaucracy and the government into a system on any large scale, it fails. And that's why smaller government, putting power to the people, will create a society that will thrive and grow, because people want to innovate. People want to make things better because they're financially motivated to do it. And that's what creates opportunity and a system that makes people successful, not taking the power from that. Period.
Not only do I agree, is you could throw Amazon in the mix as a delivery method. You know what I mean?
Right. And they've been delivering what, for 2 years now? I mean, Amazon's been around for a few years, but they only started delivering their own stuff like a year or two ago. And now they own that market, right? So
they're way more efficient than the post office. But right. I'd also say this is because the post office is a quasi government agency, the government loves to rape them as well.
Totally. I mean,
if you gave the post office to Amazon and told the government you're fucking hands off of their money, they do fine.
Right. Yep. They would turn a profit.
Or UPS or FedEx.
Yep. Absolutely.
So there has been no government hold on. Let me rephrase that. There has been one government program that has been successful in all the years the government has been around. Do you know what that program is?
The military.
No.
No? What?
In World War II, the government came up with a program to convince the average American to eat liver and kidneys and other meat besides good meat, because all the meat went to war. Having said that, right, it was a successful program. Having said that, I eat liver, right? Matter of fact, I like liver, like my brother didn't. My wife doesn't like liver, but I like it. You cook that shit up with some onions, I'll fucking crush it. But the thing is like, people traditionally didn't eat all these organs of the animal. They ate fucking steak. They ate chops. They ate. World War II comes along. All that stuff went to war and feeding the troops. Guess what you were left with?
Yep.
All the organ meat, the kidney, the liver. This is where this came from. So there was a government program that taught people how to cook it and how to eat it and how to prepare it where it was best. And it's the only successful program the U.S. government has if you read a book.
That is interesting. I've never heard that.
Yeah. So, but every other program, Secret Service, the military, all fucking failures. All failures. The IRS, fucking failure. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? All failures. So, you can't tell me the bureaucracy of the government, right, is a good thing. Look, and I also say this, if you've read a book about fucking Russia and true communism, you'd know during the height of the Cold War,
You know how hard it was for Russia to keep a secret of how much money they were spending militarily or intelligence agency wise a year? This is why they failed, is they couldn't, where the U.S. is like, yeah, we're spending this much money on intelligence, we're spending this much money on the military a year, and the Russian trying to keep that shit hidden because the fucking communists trying to compete with that, they never could. This is the biggest factor in the Cold War. It wasn't that we had better spies or we were fucking killing more people than them. All fucking ridiculous. The truth is, the being open with our budget because of capitalism fucking crushed them because they knew they could never compete.
Yeah.
That's what won the fucking Cold War if you read a book. So, the fact that socialism fucking works, it hasn't. And, the what they love to cite as what works for socialism is such small populations. Like, Sweden is how many million people? 10?
Mm-hmm.
Like, Sweden's not even the size of fucking New York City.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so New York City could come up with a system that works for New York City that could be a failure everywhere else. No one has created a social program that works for 300 million people.
Right. Yep. And arguably the most diverse population in the world.
Right. And right. The fairest and the highest quality.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, that's just it. When I hear people argue about these other countries and how better they are, the vast majority of people that argue those things have never fucking been to those countries or talked to those people, right?
No, fuck no, man. Dude, look, if you talk to somebody who was born and raised in Romania, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Not only did they flee to the States, but they were like, we're never doing that shit again. And here the Democratic Party is trying to ram that down someone's throat. Like, yeah, I seen this in fucking Romania with fucking, so-and-so or Yugoslavia. It didn't work then. It's not going to work now. But You won't listen to those fucking people because they don't know what they're talking about.
Right. Even though they lived it and did it.
Right. Yeah, totally. Right. Yeah.
Right. It's, yeah, I love listening to those arguments. I spend a lot of time in the UK and Canada and, all these, people want to say, oh, well, look at their social medicine. Dude, I don't know a single person in either of those countries that loves their medical program, right?
Fuck no.
They're on waiting lists. Like me, I've had 3 knee surgeries, right? I've torn my ACL 3 times. And I was able to get in and get surgery within a week of tearing my ACL. Now, if I was in Canada or the UK, I would be waiting months, if not years, because it's not life-threatening and it's elective, quote unquote, right? Like,
dude, yeah. Hey, look, if you want fucking socialized medicine in the United States, right, what you need to look at is the VA medical care system. And this is what Obamacare was based off of. But just hear me out. The VA medical care system. What do you know about the VA? It's fucked. People, look, it's a fucking joke, but I don't think it's funny. It's where people go to die.
100%.
That's what guys I know retired talk about the VA. Like, right. You know what I mean? Like, so Obamacare was modeled after the VA. You think that's good medical care?
Right.
No.
No. Ask any vet. They hate it. Right?
Yeah, everyone hates it. Everyone.
So, no, it's 100% right. It just goes to show you again, big government doesn't work. By the time the government takes in $1 in taxes and it goes to the actual individual, whether it's, healthcare, whatever, it's worth a penny. It's worth 2 pennies when it gets to the actual healthcare provider to provide a service, right?
Yeah.
It's now, can our healthcare system be better? Should we remove the regulation that says that a healthcare provider they can't provide healthcare in every single state? Dude, that's what stifles this shit and creates problems, is you're not allowing these things to be a free market that'll help these companies innovate and get competitive, right? So the more constraints the government puts on anything, whether it's, the EPA or whether it's healthcare providers, anytime the government gets involved and stifles the free market, it creates problems and it drives costs up. And it further drives costs up to have the government completely take over any kind of system. And while it drives costs up, it reduces the level of care, period. And it's like that in any government-run program. That's just the reality. And anybody that says anything different is just an idiot. And they're not looking at history, and they're not looking at programs that are in place that you can objectively analyze and see, do they work or not work? And to say that, well, we'll do it differently so everything will be fine is moronic. It's absolutely moronic. So, I think people are listening. I think you're right in that the election will shift. And people are going to get tired of the narrative. And when you look at, whatever they're called, what is the group that Talib Khalib is part of, and AOC, the something for, whatever they're called?
Yeah.
Right. They just, they are this mouthpiece driving this conversation for the left. And anyone that listens to someone that was a bartender 3 years ago and is now driving these, countrywide programs, it's like, you gotta wake up and smell the grass. It's like, obviously it doesn't work. Look at history. Really look at what these people are proposing and realize that, look, history repeats itself, and we're not smarter than the people that did it previous. We're just not, right? Systems.
Dude, if you think we're smarter now than the founding fathers, you think the founding fathers didn't see shit like this and be like, we're fucking not doing that? You're smoking crack.
Totally. It's,
And I'll tell you this, I'll tell you what else pisses me off about the founding fathers. It's like, they knew what it was like to live in these fucking places and not be able to defend yourself. They fucking knew that. And that's why the Second Amendment is number 2. But you can't have free speech without fucking being armed, right? And then it drives me crazy. This drives me crazy. Well, when the founding fathers wrote the Constitution, there was no guns with magazines. They didn't have assault rifles. And it's like, okay, maybe true. But what else didn't they have for the First Amendment? They didn't have fucking Twitter. They didn't have the fucking news. They didn't have fucking Facebook. So should we ban all that shit now, too? So you don't have a fucking voice?
Right.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You only want to acknowledge what you want to acknowledge. There was a fucking million things they didn't have. But what you gotta do is adapt to the present time and what you think the meaning was. I fucking hate how everyone's a constitutional fucking scholar. Drives me fucking crazy. Because it's always the attack. It's always on the Second Amendment. Didn't have these things during the Constitution. Well, we didn't have fucking Twitter either. Get rid of that shit for free speech.
Right.
Oh, yeah, if you got rid of Twitter, that'd get rid of fucking 80% of the Democratic bullshit. Okay, what else could we get rid of? We could get rid of fucking Instagram. We could get rid of Facebook. They didn't have any of that shit. All they had was newspapers. So get rid of the fucking TV news.
Right. Yep. 100%, dude. I love it when Trey Gowdy kind of goes to that thought process where people argue about getting rid of, in front of the Senate committees and argue about getting rid of the Second Amendment. And he goes, well, if we're going to go down the road of removing people's constitutional rights, what other constitutional rights should we remove? Since you want to remove these, where do we stop?
Yeah.
Right?
How about the Fourth Amendment?
Right.
How about the Fifth Amendment?
Yeah.
Right? Let's get rid of the right to search and seizure. Fuck it.
Totally.
They'll just fucking take your shit if there's ever a question about you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You wouldn't want that, would you?
Exactly. And guess what? The Second Amendment is there, along with the First Amendment, to protect yourself against all those other things that the other amendment...
yeah. Dude, you couldn't have the Sturgis this weekend or last week.
Dude.
Antifa protested, right? The police had to protect them from the fucking bikers, right? Okay, let's just hear me out on right? We're talking about the Constitution here. This is a First Amendment thing. Antifa has a right to go protest at fucking Sturgis. I get it, right? Yep. But the police had to protect them from the bikers so they didn't all end up fucking dead. Because there's fucking Hell's Angels out there. There's the Aryan Brotherhood. They're all wearing their fucking colors on the back of their fucking, vests and shit, right? Like,
right.
The police had to protect Antifa. Think about this. You couldn't have the First Amendment without the Second. And it's the Second Amendment and why the fucking police have guns, the right to bear guns, the right to bear arms, right? It's the Second Amendment, which gives you the safety to go to Sturgis and protest these fucking bikers, which is dumb, but whatever, right?
Dude, I love the Sturgis thing because I think it's hilarious. It's like the one thing that is going to pull all those biker gangs together. Like, you're going to see the Mongols, the Hells Angels, and the Aryan Brotherhood all be like, look, I don't like you, but I hate them more, right? The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah, and totally agree.
I think the police fucked up. I love the idea of you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. So you know what, Antifa? If you want to go do that, if you think that is the right thing to do, then you fucking have at it, and whatever comes out of it, comes out of it. Let Antifa go do that.
Right.
And then let them...
in one of the videos, some guy's like, fuck, man. He goes to the cop, you want to be here? And the cop looked at him in his iPhone, was like, I don't want to be here protecting these guys. I mean, think about this. At what point is the police department going to be like, fuck, you're on your own, and I'm going to look the other way, whatever happens here?
Well, you know what point that is in LA, it's right now when they cut 20% of their budget and they don't have the ability. So they've actually removed the police department's ability to even do it. So there's no decision for them, right?
Right. Well, it goes to the Antifa where, like, they're protesting, they're beating people up, and then the cops shoot them in the fucking nuts with like a paint canister or gas or whatever, right? Which I think is hilarious. But whatever, right? Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just serious, right? And then they're yelling, medic! I need a medic! Like, you think the fucking police medic or a fucking ambulance medic is going to come help you after you were just fucking with them?
Right.
Society doesn't go that far. You're either for or against, and right now you're against, so you're not getting fucking medic. Ain't no one going to help you.
Dude, I saw this, I think it was in Baltimore. I could be wrong on the city. But there was a bunch of, quote unquote, I'm doing my air quotes, peaceful protesters. And this one cop, there's like two cops that had taken down an Antifa member and had them handcuffed and were searching. It was a female searching her. And she yells out like, you can't search me. I need a female police officer. I'm uncomfortable. On it screaming, right? And this male cop, he says, how do you know I don't identify as a female?
What'd she say?
She just shut the fuck up. Like, there's no answer, right? And so it's like, I thought it was fucking great because I'm like, look, you crazy left winger, you want to play these games and go, oh, I identify at whatever gender, I want to be. And this guy's totally using your narrative against, right? Like, why are you assuming that I'm a guy? If we're going to adopt your methodology, I can be any gender I want right now. It was great.
Right. I identify as a female. That's why I found this gun in your panties.
I pulled it out of your jail.
Yeah, out of your prison wallet.
It was great. But yeah, I was like, man, cops, just let those idiots in Sturgis go and let the people in Sturgis just manage this process. It'll end quickly. It may not be clean, but it'll end quick.
Dude, at what point, because how many, look, we already talked about this, but at what point, how many fucking protesters were at Sturgis? 20?
Right.
Like, if let's just say, and this is probably a horrible thing, but just hear me out. Let's just say they go to protest Sturgis and all 20 ended up dead.
how many little towns, how many anything would they be fucking with?
Yeah.
You know, look, they've been protected by the police, even though they're like, oh, the police shot me in the face with a rubber bullet. I needed 7 stitches. Okay, come try that shit at my house. You know, you know what you're going to need? A fucking casket.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So the system that they're fighting against has actually kept them pretty fucking safe.
Yeah, overall.
You know, at what point is this not going to be safe? And when that happens, we're going to fucking see the end of it. But I'm telling you, people are getting tired of it. You know, we haven't seen the pendulum swing the other way yet. And I don't know what's going to happen or if it ever will, because I don't have a crystal ball. But I'm just saying, like, when that happens, you know what I mean? Like the fucking very loud minority. And when I mean minority, I mean small in numbers. It has nothing to do with gender or race. They're fucked.
Right. Absolutely. You know, the other side of the hypocrisy to this, or to add examples to the hypocrisy was, you know, the whole Chaz bullshit, right? Like these people want to jump up and down against the border wall and guns and police and all these things, right? Well, what was the first thing they fucking did in Chaz or whatever it's called, right?
They put up a border.
Yeah, they put up a fence. They put up armed citizens to protect the fence. And then they checked who was coming into Chaz to make sure they were of the right political views. And you're like, hold on. You basically just established a country and did the exact same thing that every country does, which is put up a border, puts guards at the border, and manages it to make sure that who comes in as a citizen or is supposed to be there. And that's the system you're fighting against? Like, the hypocrisy is, like, just bounding through, and yet you people can't even see it, right? You just can't even acknowledge the fact that you're doing the exact same thing that you're fighting against, and it works for you. Why does it work for you? Because you have to have borders, and you have to have people protecting what the laws of the land are. Period.
Well, you know, 100 years ago, the borders were more open because the government wasn't paying citizens for doing nothing.
Right.
But now that we are, right, we have to be careful about that because we don't have enough money to just take in everybody. We just don't. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, if we don't have the money to take in everybody, right, what do we need to do about taking in everybody?
Right. Yeah, you gotta manage it.
And I don't think people understand that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I get it. We're the biggest economy on the planet. I mean, look how much money we're fucking throwing Pakistan $3 billion a year to fucking harbor bin Laden, maybe even more that we don't even know about. Like,
right.
Why the fuck are we doing that? You know? Right. But think about how much money we're wasting inside the United States. You know, I was just looking at, like, you know, and this isn't a federal thing. This is a state and city thing. But, like, there's city managers making $800,000 a year. Like, you're the city manager. You're making that much fucking money.
Right.
Why is any fucking civil servant making that much money? You know what I mean? Oh. And, you know, they went around the country and was like fucking $2 billion in fraudulent spending this much money on one fucking person, you know? Like, they're, you know, some of these city managers are making more than fucking CEOs of big companies that are raking in way more dough than this fucking city, right?
Yep.
But the truth is like, you know, when are we going to start to realize that? I mean, you know, look, you can't spend more money that's in the check than it's in the checkbook.
Right. Yeah.
When are we going to realize this? You know what I mean? And this is the problem with the Democrats is they're coming up with all of these good ideas, and like there comes a time where the good idea fairy needs to leave the fucking building. And do we have the money for this or not? Because if we don't, right, like, okay, we're going to have to do something else.
Well, that's the reality, right? Which it just comes down to, it's not any more complicated than managing your house. It's just not. And if you want to spend money on something, what other program are you willing to get rid of, right? We've got to sweep the streets. We've got to maintain the streets. Some of these things you just can't get rid of if you want to have a society that operates. And so, the reality is the left just think that they can create these taxes and it will cover the additional spend. But the point is, you're already spending more money than you bring in. So additional taxes drives people away. You're not going to recoup the revenue. And you're still already outspending what you make. So none of it works. Just none of it works. And the reality is, in my opinion, it just comes down to, like, I just try to dumb it down to, like, the most simple factor, which is, every kid got a trophy. Every kid told that they were a winner. Every kid was told that their voice mattered. And and we stopped spanking our kids, right? Meaning we stopped giving them specific.
We wanted a better life for them.
Yeah, right? Where you're like, look, how many kids are little assholes because they were never told no and they never got spanked when they were little assholes, Well, now they're always right. We tell them all they're a winner and they all get a trophy. Well, guess what? Now we've created this society of these petulant children running around, beating this drum of, oh, I need this and you need to provide me that. When the reality is, no one needs to provide you anything. Go out and get a fucking job. And if you are tired of your job that doesn't pay you enough, well, go gain experience to get a better job. Get a higher level of education to get a better job. Do something that will help you get better at something to where you can now go earn more money or get better benefits through a better job, whatever the case may be. But the reality is, the government doesn't owe you shit and society doesn't. You want to get better at something or earn more money, it's on you as an individual to do that, nobody else. And if you spend years studying fucking basket weaving at a university and that job pays you $50,000 a year, and yet you've got $500,000 in college tuition debt, then you're an idiot. That's no one else's fault than your own. Period.
Well, I shouldn't have to pay more tax because you incurred more college debt.
Right. Period. That's just it. And, it's pretty simple stuff. Like I said, I got kicked out of my house at 16. I put myself through this, I joined the service and I put myself through college and, no one gave me a thing. And I worked my ass off to get where I am today. And I own that, right? I made a lot of mistakes along the way. I've learned a ton. That's how you learn, is by fucking up and fixing shit, right?
Yeah.
And, the more we tell these people that the government will fix their problems and the government will pay for the issues that they created, then the worse off our society will be, and the less that our citizens will learn how to cope with life and learn how to problem solve and learn how to innovate. And that's just the reality.
Fuck, man. Let's end it right there. I couldn't have said it better. Like, boom. Mic drop. Mic drop.
Mic drop.
All right. Hey, I couldn't agree. Like, fuck. You know what I mean? I couldn't agree. All right. So I'm going to wrap this up. Hey, I'm John Trexby, the Sheriff of Baghdad. This is the SOB podcast. We're here today talking about the election, politics. Man, what a fucking conversation. Ken, close this out. What's the last word after the mic drop there? What's left?
Man, that was a lot of fun. I love it. I appreciate it. Just get out, people, and read, man. Get educated and, just get out there and talk about it. Don't be a silent majority is my preach. Get out, get active, and tell people what's going on in the world.
Fucking go vote.
Go vote. Go vote. That's your power. Own it. Love it.
It's your superpower.
Fucking voting against dumb shit. All right, man. All right. Thanks for everything, man. Great talk.
And yeah, you too, brother. I appreciate it.
I'll talk to you later.
Cheers.